everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast, the place where for the last year you've been able to let out all your UX woes and lows. Jessamyn, it's been a little bit after our 1 year podcast anniversary. I wanted to say congratulations. Did you think we would keep it up this long?
Absolutely not. I'm shocked that we are here and I'm really pleased. I think this has been a way more fun than I thought it would be. It still doesn't really feel like work. It feels like a treat. So I'm glad we're still doing it.
I am really surprised about all the people that we've been able to get to come on and talk to us.
I know.
When I look back and I think we've probably had more episodes where we've had people come on and talk than just you and me, and I think that's like that's probably my most surprising point. And it's been really good to like catch up with some of these great UX folks or meet some new people that I didn't know before. So that's been definitely a highlight for me. Any other highlights for you?
Yeah, I definitely love the outlet. Like I have to say, like having a place to kind of like laugh about things together, it has let me loosened up a little bit at work too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like I'm a little more able to kind of make fun of myself or other people at work, and make jokes about stuff that I think before I might have been a little more nervous about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's helped me loosen up, which is good because I think I really needed that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that that's happened for you, and I think that's probably happened for me too. Like I think we hold on so tight to these jobs as part of our identity or part of like our well-being or our life satisfaction, and like sometimes at the end of the day, it's just something you do. It's just something you do, and it takes a lot of your time, so
Yeah,
you might as well have a little bit of fun, laugh at yourself a little bit here and there. So I think in the last
yeah,
year, whether or not it's been because of the podcast or other things, going on or whatever, but I think I've been learning how to be a little bit more, have a little bit more humility and be that person in the room to say, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I want to pretend that I
yeah,
know everything and that I am on the same page and I get this because I want to appear really smart and intelligent. And like, I get it all. But like, these days, I've definitely been much more willing to just call out, a spade and be like, this is way too complicated. And if I don't get it, like, our users aren't
hmm
going to have any clue what's going on. And I think
oh
that's
yeah.
something that we've talked about on the podcast before. And because we talked about it here and it felt very like affirming and reaffirming, I've definitely felt more comfortable doing it at my job. So
For sure.
all good
Absolutely. I
stuff.
use the word dum-dums constantly now at work. I'm like, is this like we need to design this for dum-dums? Tell me those works for dum-dums. Can you rewrite this document for dum-dums, please?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
I'm just like, I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to keep up the facade that I'm smart or that I get things. Like if I don't, I just don't, and I just let it show. I think that it's kind of funny, like as I'm listening to myself talk about how I've like loosened up. I'm thinking that my coworkers are probably like, could she get any looser? Like, does she have any more loosening that she could really do? Because she's pretty loose to begin with. All right. But anyway, well, that brings us to our topic today, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. We are going to celebrate today terrible work habits. Everybody's got them. We asked some listeners to send us terrible work habits that they have. And what was funny to me was a lot of people were like, my terrible work habits or my coworkers' terrible work habits. And I was like, huh, my intent was to ask about your terrible work habits, but there's definitely some people out there who have some bitterness towards coworkers about their terrible work habits. So we're going to go over those too. But we do have a lot of terrible work habits to share with you guys today. Some of which, no big surprises here. I feel like I've matched with like at least 50% of these, but there were some in there that were kind of surprising to me. And some of them I was like, wow, I don't do that. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself, but I probably do things that other people think are horrifying. So with that said, Meg, what would you say is one of your worst work habits?
One of my worst work habits.
Put you on the spot.
Oh gosh. One of my worst work habits is likely doing something else while I'm like in a meeting. And we have talked about this on the podcast before, where sometimes I will attend the meeting and then attend it again via the recording because I've been doing something else during the meeting. Um,
I think
and
that's discipline that you even bother to go back at
well,
all. I mean, the idea of going back and listening to a recording, to me, I'd rather eat dirt with a spoon out of the yard.
I think it comes from, and this is like, I definitely want us to keep on the bad work habits topic and not do a therapy session for myself. But I think part of that behavior comes from the fact that sometimes if I'm not doing something else during a meeting, my like filter is like gone, and I will jump in and say things that like don't need to be said, like they like, yes, I have opinions about things. Yes, I maybe know how to explain something, I think, in the best way possible. But like if I just let the meeting play out and don't say anything at all, like is it really going to be any worse than if I jumped in? And honestly, sometimes when I jump in, it's worse because I get assigned more tasks or I.
You're reminding me of, like, what, at the end of a meeting when it's like 59 minutes after the hour and we're about to wrap up,
Mhm.
and they're like, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about, or any questions before I let you guys go? And my urge is always to jump in with some BS thought or idea or comment or whatever. And I've trained myself to shut up and just let
Mhm.
the meeting end and let people
Good.
off the hook, because it's the worst. That's the worst habit, to be like, oh, wait, let me throw in one more thing. And then
Needing
everyone's
to
like,
have the
oh
last
my
word.
God.
That's definitely something I would say is like a habit of some coworkers that I do not like, is like they need to be the one to like restate
Uh-huh.
and have
Re-
like their.
repeat themselves. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
All
So
right, so let's hear
the
some of
rule of
these.
thumb, well, the rule of thumb needs to be, if you're at 58 minutes, 57 minutes after the hour and you're about to, hit the hour, shut it up.
Mhm.
Don't bring up nothing new. Nothing new. That's the rule.
All
Okay.
right, what are some of these other ones?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say that I identify with a lot of these. We'll start from this list in no particular order. Number one, doing your nails at your desk. Now, I don't know if guys do this or if it's just a lady thing, but doing nails, I feel like, is almost a productivity boost.
Mm.
Because, like you said, if you're listening in on a call and you're just mostly listening, and
Hmm.
then you can get nails done at the same time, that's, to me, like, that's a win. I almost feel like this isn't a terrible habit. This is kind of a good one
And it
because it
really
keeps you
depends
engaged.
on whether, like, if you're doing this at your desk at home and like what you're doing is like off of webcam, like who even knows? Who even cares? On the other hand, if you're like in the office and somebody is like clipping their fingernails and I
Okay,
can hear it,
that's
I'm
bad.
like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not all about that. So I
Go to
think,
the bathroom. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of these things that at home it's totally fine. In the office, hell no. I read once about a woman who got in trouble for doing her nails on a plane. And like they literally like were like, you can't paint your nails on board. And they, I don't know, they gave her a really hard time. And I was kind of like, why not? I mean, the smell, I
the
get the
smell,
smell,
yeah. I feel like
but
that would be pretty bad because it has nowhere to go. It's just gonna
yeah.
be all
But they have all that ventilation. I don't know. I feel like you're doing your nails. Every time I do my nails, I think I'm saving myself $50 right now. You know, I'm not going down to the salon. I'm not, benefiting off of the exploitation.
hmm.
And
Hmm.
and it looks good enough. It doesn't have to look perfect. Who cares? And the more you do it, the better you do. You're getting the practice in. So I give this one a thumbs up. I say do your nails at your desk. I don't think this is a bad habit at all.
All
Keep
right.
it up. All right. All right. Next habit, taking naps between calls. Actually,
Done it.
more than one
Absolutely done
person.
it.
Really? I
Oh yeah.
wish.
Yep. Yeah.
Gosh.
Especially in the first couple of weeks back at work after returning to work. I mean, obviously new kid, sleep depth, like sometimes you can't even control it. Your body's just so freaking tired. But even
But how do
before
you make
then,
sure you wake back up?
oh, I guess I'm just not that kind of napper. Like my body is just like, I guess too anxious to really be like in a sleep where it wouldn't like be more than, 20, 30 minutes.
So you're not worried about like just passing out cold and
No,
missing.
I don't know if I've
Okay.
ever, I mean, maybe I've done that. Actually, I have a great story if I've never told it before. I have a great story where I did that in between two interviews for a job, and I slept through the second one.
Oops.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe we'll have that story on
Did
another
you tell
day.
them the truth or did you just say,
I had
oops, I
to,
missed?
because it was in person, and I went back to the hotel, and
Oh, you
but
went back
okay,
to your
there are
hotel.
circumstances, which is that, well, no, it was all my fault. I missed my flight, so I had to take a red eye. So the interview started like
Oh,
basically like
you were
3 hours after I
tired.
got in. The last inter
Oh
there
no.
was like an hour or two break at the end of the day. I went back to the hotel, I took a nap, and I basically passed out through the interview. And yes, I just fessed up to it. I just said, yeah,
Why did
this is what
they
happened.
have a break where you had to go and then come
They had a
back?
company meeting I couldn't attend. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Anyway,
Well, that's kind of
so
on them too.
but yeah, I would say in more recent times when I've had um just like a headache or something, like I don't I typically will just get, it'll just be for that time period.
Gosh, I remember hearing people talk about I worked someplace where they had offices in China and they said there it's really common for people to just nap at their desk after lunch. And
Hmm.
it's not looked down on or anything like that. And people just like kind of sit at their
Yeah,
desk and they
I
maybe
think
bow their
it's
head.
culturally different in different places because I have heard of this as well with like folks from the Middle East too, like that it's just more
Really?
common to have, a time after lunch where where you're sleeping, which I mean,
I would be so afraid to sleep in front of other people and maybe drool or
well,
snort
again,
or
my
who
examples are
knows.
all after I started working fully remote. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. Yeah, this is not, I think this is something people do remote, at least in America. I mean, I but I don't think I've ever done this unless I'm like ill. And
yeah,
that at that point, I think if I'm like I have to lay down, then I'm calling out sick.
yeah.
I wouldn't trust myself to lay down in bed and take a nap and then wake back up at the right time. I think to me that I just know myself, I would screw it up.
But there are jobs where like taking a nap is, I guess, how you were saying, like it's weird to do that at work. And I do think it is weird to do for us culturally, it is weird to do it at work, Americans. But that, so like, because that brings to mind like how like doctors have on-call rooms, where they can go
Hmm.
take naps and stuff. And it's like there are some professions where you have to sleep because your shift is so long. So like,
Yeah.
fortunately, I guess ours aren't. But I think like this for me, the kid thing, that's definitely been part of it. But then also like people, like I will get like a migraine maybe like once or twice a month, and it's like I have to lay down, I have to turn out the lights, I have to do something, and that like if I you're right, I could just call in sick and be like I'm done for the day, but typically I can like rally and get back. So anyway, I think yeah, I think it kind of depends on the
Good for you.
circumstances. All right, what's the next one?
All right, next one is drinking while working. Now, I've definitely done this. I don't do it that often, though. I would say this is sort of rare, and usually it's after 5. I'm not like drinking all like day drinking or anything like that. I think I if it's dinner time and I'm still in meetings or something because of time zone differences,
Hmm.
then I'll have a glass of
Oh
wine.
yeah.
But I've definitely found though that I've regretted it. Like there's times where I've kind of spoken out of turn or like kind of said something that irritated somebody
Mm-hmm.
and had it come back to me, and I was, drinking a glass of wine while I was doing it. So I've sort after that, I have a particular incident in mind. After that, I kind of put the kibosh on it.
That
But
makes sense.
I
I do
yeah,
think
I've
it's fair
definitely
though,
done
if
it.
you're, if you're in our Pacific time zone and you're being asked to like work with a team overseas who's just starting their day and like you had dinner and like a glass of wine and then you have to go back to work, like I think that's reasonable. I don't think that like it should be completely banned. But I hear what you're saying. I hear that like it can definitely alter your being adept, at
Oh yeah.
handling those conversations. So
I'm not one of those people that I'm like, oh, I can drink and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. It totally does. And I sound like a dummy. I'm sure I look like a dummy. And, it doesn't take much, one, two glasses, and I'm, saying who knows what. And so I have to watch it. I've kind of learned the hard way. But I'm sure there's people out there who are young and fresh and this is like no big deal. I mean, I also think like, especially if work does overlap with like meal times, like dinner, then I don't look down on somebody who does it. I think what would I would say maybe not during the morning, or I don't know. But
it's always morning somewhere.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see what kind of habit this is. But I guess that's the thing, is like I just don't want to look like an idiot. I already feel like I look like an idiot most of the time, and this just would make it worse. If you're the kind of person who doesn't feel like an idiot when you're drinking and you feel fine, go to town. That's not me though.
Hmm.
I'm too loose already. So
Maybe you need to
I
tighten
don't
up, Jessamyn. Tighten
Yeah,
up.
I really do. All right, so this next one is binging TV shows in the background. So you're watching television while you're working, and someone said, it's so quiet, I need some noise. And then I have another one here that was saying, let's see here,
Is it about sports? Is it the tennis one?
tennis. I watch
Yeah.
tennis. If there's a tennis match on that I'm interested in and a meeting I'm not interested in, the tennis is definitely on.
I
So
can,
TVs and
yeah.
tennis.
I think sports is totally different. Like sports on in the background is like sports on at a bar. Like, are you really watching? Um, so I would have, if I was a person who had access to sports on like I just don't have any channels that play sports. The sports that I'm like interested in, like I would probably have that on. Like, okay, so a great example is during the Olympics. Like the Olympics is great and it's on
Oh
basically
yeah.
constantly on multiple channels. And like, so I think I would, I totally identify with that. And tennis is great too. Like it's just so methodical. It's just really repetitive.
Yeah.
Television shows though, I can't do because I love television so much
Mm,
that I would not be able to get anything done.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a
That's true.
definite difference. And I want to say too that I used to know someone who I worked with who watched like full on like movies, like they would have movies on in the
Oh
background while
yeah.
they
Oh
were
yeah.
working. And that I was just like, is someone like I was like, is someone going to catch you? Like, are you allowed to do this? Because they would do it in the office, and so people could
Do they have the
certainly
volume up
see.
or low?
The volume was like go through their headset.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I think this is really common. I think some people do need like that second layer of stimulation
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm,
sort of quiet their brains so they can get some stuff done, because if
mm-hmm.
it's too quiet, they just feel so antsy.
Yeah.
So I totally get this. And it takes me back to one of my first graphics jobs. I was a proofreader and I worked the late shift, and it was like 2 to 10 p.m. or something at this place that had, multiple shifts,
Mm-hmm.
and the managers would put movies on. And I think it was like a morale thing because you got this big room of people doing really rote work.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of this is like 2005. So, people didn't have like blazing fast internet at their desktop. So they'd put like a movie on, just like, I guess on a TV or something, and have it play. And then I think it kind of kept people in their seats and kept them focused, honestly, more
Mm-hmm.
because it was on and it made it feel fun. It's kind of like when you walk into a video store. God, I'm like totally dating myself. And you'd walk into a video store and they have like a TV playing with a movie, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, and it didn't really matter what movie it was, but you were like, oh my God, this is such a great movie. And it was just something about it, like it set the tone, it set the
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere. And it also reminds me of a story I heard when I visited Key West like a long time ago, that back in Cuba in the cigar factories, they used to have people read to the workers. So they would have somebody, everybody's on the factory floor, like rolling cigars. And then
Mm-hmm.
they'd have somebody get up and they'd have like an elevated seat, and they would read like novels or books
Mm-hmm.
or stuff just for them to listen to something while they
Yeah.
were working. And I was like, oh my God, I love that story so much, because it's kind of like, yeah, when you're doing tedious work, you're pushing pixels or whatever it is, you kind
Yeah.
of need something to help you get in the flow state, because this isn't going to do it, unless you're really focused. But it takes
Yeah.
like mental discipline. So I think it helps you get there.
It totally works for chores, like household chores for me.
Yeah,
If I'm not listening to a podcast or music or something, or book on tape, usually tape, haha, now I'm dating me. Um,
exactly.
I you know, I I won't go into that like just like rote productivity mode where you're just kind of like producing, you know, stuff that under other circumstances you wouldn't choose to do, like dishes or laundry or sweeping your floor or whatever, because none of that is anything you actually want to do. I'm not sure anybody wants to
Right.
roll cigars or my life, you know, update mockups, which is basically, I would say, 95% of my job.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and there's also, I wonder if this is true for you or for other people, but there's also something for me that I have to kind of pick um the right noise for the task. If I'm working with language, like writing an email or creating copy, or doing anything that requires like English language processing, I can't have things with lyrics or spoken words.
Yeah, I've heard that
I have to
too.
have like instrumental stuff. I can still listen to
Instrumental.
stuff, but it has to not have any like words in it. And then if I'm doing stuff that's just like purely like moving boxes on a piece of paper or doing my dishes, I can have stuff with words in it. So anyway.
Yeah, I've definitely heard people say they can't listen to podcasts when they're working, and I was like, huh. But yeah, if you're reading, you can't listen to a pod because you need that space in your brain for like your own voice to talk to you
Mhm.
when you read. Um, but I listen to pods all the time, and I feel like sometimes it's better to do that than to try to watch something, because a lot of times I'll sort of get myself sucked in. I sit down to work, I go to YouTube to try to find some background noise, but then I'm like, this is so boring. I want something more stimulating, so I'll watch a clip from a show,
Mhm.
like obviously TLC, any TLC show. And then, I think I can put it in the background, but I don't want to put it in the background. I just want to watch it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so the podcast will sort of force me to like look at the screen.
Mhm.
I can't watch the podcast. So it does force me to kind of get moving. But God, I mean, TV shows in the background, I think this is a productivity hack. Honestly, I don't think this is a terrible habit. I mean, unless you're just straight up watching TV
Mhm.
for however
Which is what I
long.
would
But
do. I would just like stop working.
yeah,
So I
I
couldn't
have
work
done
on.
that. And actually, I was late for a meeting. I want to say it was maybe a couple months ago because I was watching a TV show and I lost track of time. So I've stopped doing that, like telling myself that I can just go sneak some TV in during the day, because I cannot. I cannot keep track of time in spite of my house being covered with clocks, and I have a watch and a phone and everything else.
Mhm.
Oh, well. Let's see what another one. We probably have enough for 2 episodes, honestly, here, because we have so many. This next one is snacking. Snacking and a lot more snacking. I totally relate to this because I eat constantly, and I did this in the office and I do it at home. But anytime I encounter any sort of difficulty or obstacle or unpleasant task, I immediately get up and get a snack.
Mm.
Like I cannot face any discomfort unless I'm full. And it's got to be a dopamine thing. I mean,
Mm.
I don't know how hungry I really am. But there's nothing better than digging through the fridge and finding something delicious and then coming back upstairs, either with a plate or just having snacked.
Well, I was gonna say that I have the perhaps uh good fortune that my kitchen is so far away from where I sit and work that like thinking about going all the way there basically makes me like not do it. So like I'm not snacking. But it sounds like your kitchen is downstairs and far away too. So
It's downstairs. It's, yeah. Getting down
uh,
the stairs is no sweat. Getting back up is work. But I remember I had a friend who was very thin, and she used to tell me how irritating it was for her because she had a coworker who was constantly snacking. And I guess they sat close together in the office, and she would eat, I guess, during meetings, and she'd be talking in the meetings and chomping away and snacking away,
mhm.
and that she was just constantly eating, eating, eating. And I was just like, this is me. You know, I sit at my desk when I would be in the office and I would snack all the damn time. I loved packing myself all these crazy snacks. And I
No free
loved
snacks?
packing I love packing fat pills. I used to have this like chocolate chip addiction, and I would call them fat pills. And I'd always offer them, I'd be like, "Hey, would you like some fat pills?" And people would be like, "No, thanks."
Just like loose
Um,
chocolate chips?
I wish somebody would offer me some freaking chocolate chips. Yes, chocolate
Pe-
chips or chocolate chips with peanuts mixed in. Oh my God, it's the
I
best
guess that is
snack.
basically like trail mix minus some of the other stuff.
I used to buy so many chocolate chips that I went from buying like the regular size bag to like the Costco bag, which looks like a pillowcase. It's so big. And I remember buying that bag and being like, all right, this is it. Like I've crossed the line
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is like too many chocolate chips. But God, they were so good. They're such a good snack. And if you mix them with peanuts, there's really nothing more satisfying. And I would bring like incrementally larger bags of them to work, where it would be like, a sandwich bag and then like a sandwich bag full, and then, maybe a quart bag or something. And I'd mix it with raisins. Oh my God. And then I'd walk around, I'd carry them with me. Like I couldn't leave them at my desk and just walk away. I'd have to have them by my side. Oh my God. And I'm sure, like, I used to sit next to this dude who was such a hard worker, and he ate at meal times and didn't really eat while he worked. And I always would look over at him, and he'd never have like anything weird on his screen. He'd always just be working. And I'm like, how do you just get it done without any distractions? He had no bad habits at all. And I just would constantly like, have little YouTube videos in the corners of my screen or behind my browser, or I'd be snacking or anything, or I'd be getting up and walking around. I mean, I would be so antsy, I couldn't sit still. And like, I don't know, I think now I'm like, well, if I feel like I need to get up, I'll just get up. Who cares? But at the time, I used to really beat myself up for it. But usually in the office, the only place to go is the bathroom or the kitchen.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, I'll go to the bathroom a bunch of times, and then I'll go to the kitchen and hang out and make coffee and see who's around and chat and, yeah, grab a snack. Sounds good. I don't think there's anything wrong with this habit. I condone it. I endorse it fully.
What do you think about eating lunch at your desk? Food related.
I think it's totally fine, but I can see why people don't do it. But I also find sometimes it's lonely to sit alone in like a corporate cafeteria or a corporate kitchen and eat.
Mhm.
Like I feel like there's been times in my life where I'm like, God, there's nothing more lonely than this feeling of sitting alone and eating
It
at this
does,
booth.
on the one hand, it does kind of have these callbacks to like, oh my God, where am I going to sit at high school lunch type
Right. I
feelings.
don't have any friends. Nobody likes me.
On the other
I'm
hand,
alone.
I feel like when I was in high school, I wish I had been more realistic that like I've been around people all day. Like I want to sit alone. Like get away from me. Um
No.
I wish I had been more okay with that because I think now that I mean obviously I don't go into an office so I'd never have to make this choice, but back when I did, I feel like I often would kind of be like, this is my time to not interact with people. I want to play my game on my phone and I don't really and listen to my podcast and I don't really want to talk to you.
Yeah, if you have something to do, I think it's, yeah, if you have a book or a notebook you can scribble in or something other than just staring at your sandwich and your chips and like looking around, like, because that's the worst. I don't know, that's the worst feeling. That's why I'm like, it feels safer sometimes to eat at your desk
Yeah.
than to go and sit alone.
Plus,
But yeah,
then you can watch your YouTube
you
clips.
can watch your shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think phones changed a lot of that. I think before phones were super big and people were always looking at their phones and you're just sort of like, sitting there. I don't know. I don't shame anybody for eating when when I used to I lived in Mexico for a while back in the day and they never ate at their desk and they thought it was nuts that I did. I remember the day I like 12 o'clock came and I pulled out a peanut butter and jelly out of my bag
Hmm.
and the looks I got were like, what is going on over there?
Mm.
What is she doing? Because none of the other women in the office would eat at their desk, number one. And number two, they
Hmm.
would eat lunch together a lot
Hmm.
of the times
Hmm. Hmm.
and they'd go out and get something.
Yeah,
And
much
it
more
was just like
social.
it was social. And also 12 o'clock was kind of early for them to be eating lunch. They'd wait a little later to like 1 or 2 to eat. But a lot of them, this is another cultural thing, like that was their meal of the day. They didn't really have another meal after that.
Mm.
Like they'd maybe have a coffee in the morning or whatever, or something really light.
Hmm.
Then they'd eat like a meal at like 1 or 2. And then they didn't have like a big sit down dinner necessarily.
Right, right.
And I remember like the day that I heard my coworker be like, I only eat once a day. And I'm like, huh? It was like record scratch. Just like, what are you talking about? You only eat once a day.
Mhm.
And I just cannot, I still really can't really fathom
Did
that.
you introduce them to your bag of chocolate chips?
No, I knew I hadn't gotten to the chips yet at that point in my career, but I definitely like packing a lunch, the idea of like bringing a sandwich from home. There must be something kind of Amerikansky about that because I did not see, I don't think I ever saw anybody do that in another country where I lived.
Mm.
Everybody always just went out for lunch. That
Hmm.
was just what you did. It was kind of inconceivable to pack a bag, pack a lunch.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I say, Meg, let's wrap it up for this ep. And then our next ep will continue with these wonderful discoveries of terrible workplace habits. And in the meantime, send them in if you have some that we haven't shared yet, because we'd love to hear more.
Yes, please do. And we will talk to you and see you folks next time.
Bye bye.
Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamyn Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco phones. It's called Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. Jessamyn and I will be snacking our way to the next episode. We hope you survive your coworker bad habits. Until then.